How long has it been since I've done one of these? Hey. Well, it's finally come. It's finally time. It's finally time to do it. We're finishing the trilogy of the Why Smash Bros. Is not dying anytime soon. Boy, what a journey we've had. From our highs to our lows, the store, I've had a lot to unpack. And what I have to say is that I think the reason Smash never dies is because I think the creators of Smash are nice. Yeah. I think people tend to forget that even though everyone says that Nintendo is doing this, it's not like a single person. Masahiro Sakurai, the creator of, Kirby, Mario, and all these other guys, he's actually a pretty chill dude. He's simple, he's cool, and he made Kirby, so he's okay in my book. The main thing is, what did he do right, and what did the others do wrong? You won't believe me. So yeah, this whole series has just been me glazing the hell out of Smash Bros. For good reason. The game is actually good. It's pretty good. But the main thing is that, well, it's so much better than all these, multiverses, Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl, Brawlhalla, freaking Station All-Star Brawl, all of them. And now it's come time for the final one. I said the first one would be dedicated to, why exactly, the game is good in the first place, the characters and all that stuff, I think. Second one was about the stages. And the third one, is basically about the DLC and what it did right. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but games have DLC. Gulp. So, Smash Bros. Has a DLC. These the DLC right here. And a lot of these characters have been wanted. Some of them, not so much. A lot of the Fire Emblem characters, a lot of people were like, but most of the other ones, they were like, oh, that's pretty good. Banjo-Kazooie, Sora, Steve. It was great. But what about the others? Well, as it turns out, a lot of the other ones are kind of stupid. You see, when Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl was made, only a handful of these DLC came out. And it kind of reminds me of what DC did with Marvel, which I know comes out of left field, but hear me out. See, Marvel actually, had a plan from the get-go. They knew what they were gonna do, they knew what they were gonna say, and they knew what was gonna come after. It was all leading up to one big movie. Whereas DC said, yeah, we'll figure it out. And then we got Jared Leto Joker. So that's fun. Apologies to my mom, who says Jared Leto Joker was, okay. Don't send her hate, please. But yeah, so, yeah, so DC didn't really know what to do, which is why it kind of went a little bit stinky, a little bit bad. But yeah, I feel like the reason, Smash Bros. DLC worked out so well was because, well, they had a plan, they knew who was going to come out, and how many were going to come out. The first Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl characters, there were only 3. 3 characters. And, look, I know the game isn't all that crazy and all that spectacular, like Smash Bros. And stuff, but come on. 3? Really? You could have at least chosen 4. Come on, man. And that's not even the crazy part. You see, the funny thing is that all those 3 characters were kind of just a bit too random. You see, Smash Bros. Had this thing where they had characters coming from different franchises. And when they said different franchises, they clearly meant, other franchises. Not even Nintendo properties. Freaking Steve, Banjo-Kazooie, Sora? What? Disney? That's crazy. But at least it made sense. It's a big crossover, which is why we have all these other characters. Banjo-Kazooie, Snake. A lot of them are Nintendo properties, but you get the point, right? So, I think the reason it doesn't work was, well, and I'm gonna give a little leeway on these Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl and other characters, because Nintendo Smash Bros. Ultimate, I think the whole point was, like, it was a giant crossover. Like, it wasn't just, like, Nintendo properties. It actually had other characters. It had Sonic, Snake, Sora. A lot of S's in there. Like, different properties coming from different franchises. Banjo-Kazooie, Microsoft. As I said before, Sonic with Sega, Snake with PlayStation, and also Cloud, who I think switched to Nintendo, but he is a PlayStation property, technically. You see where I'm going from? Whereas Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl, they only had 3 characters. And those 3 characters weren't, like, super crazy. Like, oh, those 3 characters were, like, Goku, Shrek, a Pickle. No, they were, like, other characters, like, from Nickelodeon. And to be honest, they weren't even that special. One was My Life as a Teenage Robot, which, yeah, pretty underground, but still. Hugh Neutron, which is hilarious, and Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life. And that was it. Now, a lot of people made a big deal because a lot of people actually liked Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl. Even I liked it. And then I realized, oh wait, this stuff is pretty ass. You know, it kind of didn't have as much of a big thing as did, you know, Smash Bros. Which is hilarious, because everyone was like, oh my god, they got the wild thornberries in there? Oh, they must give a lot of a crap to not even have, like, the whole SpongeBob roster and only have, like, 3 characters. But this is probably gonna be a big game. And then it showed up, and then it just died. It didn't even have voice acting on release. So that's a big problem. But it doesn't stop there. PlayStation All-Stars Brawl. I'm pretty sure it didn't even have DLC. Psych, I just remembered it did. I think it had, like, a bunch of characters. But again, these guys are from, like, PlayStation games. Uh-oh. And, of course, MultiVersus. Now, what's weird about MultiVersus is because it has Warner Bros. And while Warner Bros. Has a lot of stuff, it's not as big, you know, since you literally can only choose stuff from Warner Bros. Catalog, which isn't crazy. Like, they have some crazy IPs. The Lego Movie, Freddy Krueger, Dexter. But all of these are kind of bland when you realize there's nothing really that big a deal. I mean, yeah, it could be a big roster, but it's only, like, you know, Warner Bros. Stuff. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm pretty sure multiple people would have played the game if they just added more care to it. You know, all the DLC characters. But then comes the problem again. So, MultiVersus and not PlayStation All-Stars, Nickelodeon All-Stars, they all have to have All-Star in their name, kind of don't know what to do. They kind of just pop in. They don't really have a plan. You know, they release DLC characters, but a lot of the DLC characters aren't very thought of. Like, it took a while for every character to be in Smash Bros. Officially. And it didn't take that long for Nickelodeon characters. The problem stemmed when, you know, other stuff got put into fray. They didn't really have a plan, and the characters showed, because most of the DLC characters for MultiVersus were not that good. So, when they came out, it was a little bit of a lot of characters that were supposed to come out got scrapped or didn't come out, considering, you know, the game sucked. The thing about the DLC is that you have to pay for it. MultiVersus screwed up twice. Now, let me list off some of the DLC characters. First off, we got Black Adam, LeBron James, Banana Guard, Nubia, Beetlejuice, Rick and Morty, Marvin the Martian, freaking Rick from Rick and Morty, and all these other characters. Lola Bunny and Aquaman. We also have the Powerpuff Girls. That's cool. But are you getting a theme with these? First off, Black Adam. Who the hell is he? Like, we all know who Black Adam is thanks to that Rock movie that sucked ass. In other people's opinion. But then we have LeBron James? What's he doing here? These other ones. What about Beetlejuice? Like, yeah, he's a cool guy, but you'd expect them to be like the 25th wave or something. Not like straight out of the gate. Well, let's bring into play the movies. You see, Black Adam had a movie coming out, which is when they started placing him all over the place. You know, Black Adam, t-shirts, mops, The Rock saying the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change, and it's very hilarious considering literally after that movie they were like, scrap the whole thing, let's have one guy direct it. Uh-oh. And then we have, you know, LeBron James, who was supposed to tie into Space Jam: A New Legacy 1 year later, but yeah, then we have Beetlejuice, who was just there for Beetlejuice 2. Really? You're noticing a pattern, right? These are supposed to tie into movies. But I don't think that's how DLC is supposed to work. It's supposed to be like different franchises. It's not supposed to tie in with something. It's just supposed to be some random stuff you pull out of your hat, and bam. That's the reason Smash DLC made sense, is because we didn't know what they were going to choose. It could have been anyone in Smash, and they specifically chose these characters because they thought they would fit right. Which is why, you know, you got Sora, Steve, Banjo-Kazooie, Fire Emblem, Byleth, Joker, all those characters. And then you have Nickelodeon All-Stars. Yikes! So yeah, if you don't know, Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl had, again, 3 characters, and Hugh Neutron was very hyped up. Everyone wanted Hugh Neutron for some reason, because he's a bit of a meme. So when he came to freaking Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, everyone was like, oh, that's so cool, that's awesome. And there's this other YouTuber I watch called Uncle Al. He's a pretty good guy, he's funny, go support him. He made a video basically saying, oh, I want Hugh Neutron to be in, not Smash, Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl. Yeah. But yeah, he wanted him to be in Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl. And that happened, and then the second game came out. Stinky. The characters were even more random than the first one. I'm not joking. Like, first off, you had Bebop and Rocksteady. Okay, fine. Mr. Krabs, cool. The grandpa from Avatar: The Last Airbender, okay? Sure. I'm trying to remember more. Okay, the last one is Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Do you see the thing with that, though? You could choose so many characters, yet you stop at that. I think that's the problem, guys. These characters aren't well thought out. They're not, selectively picked by the greatest of hands, like a surgeon, trying to pick out which organs matter, which don't matter. You get the point. You need to pick out which ones would be the best in the game, and which ones represent the series the most. There were already 3 Avatar: The Last Airbender characters in there. Even Nickelodeon isn't safe from the Fire Emblem curse. Really? Really? They also had El Tigre, but he was a character from the get-go. But they did add a few other characters, which is a real good thing. They, actually had a good thing going where, they added other characters. But at the same time, they removed other characters. I think so. Which is really weird, because I'm like, just have those characters in the get-go. Grrr! Grrr! I'm angry now! I know how game development. Sometimes things can't be made, and they're on a time crunch. But at the same time, you're Nickelodeon, dude. Really? Come on, man. And then, once again, we have MultiVersus. And of course, MultiVersus had the most dog. It sucked the most. If there was anything to come out of MultiVersus, it was the amount of crap the fans gave to him. So let's get into that. Well, MultiVersus' whole thing is that they started coming out with DLC. And each DLC cost money. Now, you would think, oh, okay, so I can just buy all the DLC characters. It turns out only a select amount of characters, not even the DLC, regular characters, had to be bought with gems. Basically V-Bucks. You gotta spend money to get the costumes, the characters, you gotta do all this. And there isn't even a story. Yep. And so it gets to the point where I'm like, okay, so in order I can literally like buy all these characters. Not even DLC, but regular characters for what, like $25? No. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to watch this video and I just can't find the part where he's like, oh, it costs like $5 or something. But yeah, basically the roster would like switch over between like some DLC characters being included, and like you would just anytime you would log in the game, it would be different characters. You get to play as different characters. I don't know why they didn't just make the base characters. I don't know. But the thing about that is just, once again, these characters of DLC suck. Like, aside from a select few, like, Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack, Marceline, all these other characters, it really kind of sucks, considering the fact that, well, a lot of these characters aren't very special. Like, aside from the ones I just mentioned, like, literally, Nubia, Beetlejuice, LeBron fucking James. Did a bit of an oopsie there. Sorry about that, guys. Kind of just slipped out. Ugh. Swear warning. Alright. So I just got really angry there. Sorry, my bad. Sorry for all the parents watching with their kids. Anyways, so yeah, LeBron and all these other characters. All these characters coming out are just kind of because like they're not picked out. They're literally selected for one specific reason, and that reason is to like sponsor or what's the word for it? I don't know. But the word is like to, pick and conceive, basically saying, oh, I'm here not to be like a playable character and not because people ask me, but because, take a look at this or this. It's insane. So the main problem stems, why did this happen? Well, I think it has to do with Warner Brothers. They care more about money than the fans, which is why this thing, which seemed cool on the surface, was doomed to fail. And it eventually led to, it dying. Same with Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl. A lot of the characters weren't really picked correctly. Like, if they chose some, like, crazy characters for, like, Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 1 and 2, I think people would have actually liked it. Like, come on, man. El Tigre, my bad. Come on, man. Mucha Lucha was already there. Come on. Get my boy some love. But that's not the point. The point is, like, they chose a lot of characters that weren't really special. And again, these characters weren't, like, from different brands or something, which I know would have been insane. Like, you're telling me freaking Ed, and Eddie are in Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl? That's crazy talk. But I've been leaving one character out of the equation. Aside from PlayStation All-Star Brawl, it kind of has the same problem. These characters were just randomly picked instead of, like, specifically picked to sponsor something. Advertise, there's the word. Advertise something. I'm still thinking about that F-bomb, sorry. But just like the movie ratings, you're only allowed one F-bomb. Eek, that's gonna be a problem, isn't it? Brawlhalla, I think, is the only one that does it right. But even then, they still got it wrong. Gosh dang it. Can't say any of that, though. My mom watches this stuff. But yeah, Brawlhalla kind of did it good, but also did it bad. Yin and yang. So a lot of the characters are just straight up crazy. Like they have all these characters: Anakin Skywalker, Ben 10, Shrek, Kung Fu Panda, Adventure Time. Like it's crazy. But they're not even like characters. They're more skins, which I'm fine with. All right, as long as you get this like crazy crossover where I can pit like Shrek against Forearms from Ben 10, then you're all good, mate. But I think the only reason they get it right is because, well, these things are just so crazy. Kung Fu Panda, Shrek, Forearms, are you kidding me, bro? That's crazy. And it is. The main thing is they're not like original characters. They're just kind of skins, which again is not really a bad thing. Like I know if they actually made these characters like their own thing, it would be way too cost efficient. Like they would have to go through many days of making these characters specifically for one character, and that's it. And what's even worse is you have to buy them. Because I played Brawlhalla and I saw that these characters were available, and you needed to buy them with tokens. What is with all these companies and having you buy credits so you can buy the costumes? Just let me buy the full DLC. And this, my friends, ties all back to Nintendo. So, let me picture you a story. I was starting to get back into Smash Bros. Ultimate. And I was playing a lot of fun with the game, but I eventually started getting bored with all the characters. I wanted to play as other characters, like Banjo-Kazooie and Steve. Those were the only ones I kind of cared about. But the other ones were cool too, so I was like, man, I just want to get all these characters. Eventually, I got my dad to actually buy me the DLC. The DLC cost $24. Or $25, technically. Now you might be thinking, that's a little bit too pricey. But at the same time, it's all of the characters. You literally get all of the characters, all of the stages, and a bunch of cosmetics. For 25, gosh, damn, dollars. I did it. I swore twice. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. For only $25, and again, I think $25 for the other DLC with like Steve and stuff, you can get the stages, some costumes with the characters you got, music, and I'm pretty sure some Mii costumes sprinkled in there just because they love you and they do a little peck on the cheek, little pat on the head, a little big lollipop with the hat and stuff. But yeah, with the DLC, you can literally get basically all the characters, stages, cosmetics for just $25. For $25, you could barely buy one character from Multiverses. Again, it's crazy to me that I'm pretty sure. Fun fact, I got a comment, and send no hate to this person, but I got a hate comment, which is funny because it was my first comment. And it kind of said, oh, look at this guy with this Smash Bros. He's saying Smash Bros. Ultimate is good, and doesn't bring any concrete evidence. Which, like, I bring some of evidence. It's not a big lot, but I at least bring something. But yeah, that's just a little thing I wanted to tell you guys. Don't send hate, because I don't know what happened to that person, because I think he deleted his comment. But yeah, Smash Bros. DLC, like, has all these characters, cosmetics, stages. It gives you a bunch of new stages, all for the price of $25. You can literally just buy the whole, like, half the game, half the DLC game, for $25. I think $40 technically, but yeah. I'm not mentioning Piranha Plant, which I think is just $5. So yeah, I think it's $45 for all the characters. For $45, you could only buy, like, I think 5 cosmetics and, like, DLC. You couldn't even buy all the costumes. There are literally costumes for the main guys of Multiverses, yet you couldn't buy them because all the costumes cost money. And you couldn't even buy the DLC because all of the DLC characters cost money. And even if you did buy DLC characters, you wouldn't be able to get their cosmetics because they're not like built in. You have to buy them. Do you see how much this doesn't make sense? But yeah, that's pretty simple. Smash's DLC at least makes some sense, even though it's a little on the price side for $45. You at least get, all the cosmetics for the characters, all of their stages, and some music. Whereas if you were to buy all the characters in MultiVersus, your wallet would look like that one meme with the way when you open the wallet and the fly comes out. It would look crazy. And even when companies do that, with Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl, you could buy the characters and it would come with the cosmetics. It would still look a little bit iffy. But four characters. That's not enough. At least give us 4 characters and then, we're gonna do more characters. But no, they just stopped at 4. We're almost done. And again, let's look at the characters. Banjo-Kazooie, Sora, Terry, Steve, Sephiroth, Joker, Hero. All of these characters are from different franchises and are pretty cool. They're pretty special, and a lot of them are pretty iconic. But then we got the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl characters. Mr. Krabs, Bebop and Rocksteady. The grandpa from Airbender. The other guy from Airbender. You see the problem there? Not a lot of them are as, special as you think. Especially since we already got 3 Avatar The Last Airbender characters. We don't need more, man. Come on. And again, let's look at MultiVersus. All the characters aren't that special. I mean, yeah, there's Gremlins, which is pretty iconic. Beetlejuice, which is also iconic. LeBron James, who is also iconic. But again, these characters weren't meticulously picked. A lot of them were kind of just picked so they could advertise a single thing. So, what was the point then? The only one that was good was Jason, because his whole, copyright thing is just a bit of a mess at this point, and it's a bit of a... So, yeah, that's kind of why, it's special, when people were like, oh my god, it's Jason, that everyone thought that was special. But then they had Banana Guard. What's so special about Banana Guard? I know they have a joke character, but you not too soon, man. Come on, you gotta stop. Release the joke character first, then all the special ones later. You can't just release it in the middle. That's not good. Yes, Nintendo had a joke character, Piranha Plant. But after that, they were just on fire. They were spewing out crazy takes. Steve from Minecraft, Banjo-Kazooie, Sora. No one was expecting that. And it made the Piranha Plant thing just kind of, whatever, who cares? I mean, he's there, but, look at all these other characters. But yeah, that's kind of it. That's how, Smash Bros. Is the best. They actually picked the characters carefully. And it kind of reminds me of, an apple tree. An apple tree, yes. You see, Smash Bros. Ultimate and Nintendo picked the apples carefully. They picked out specifically the most ripe and excellent ones. The ones that fans would actually adore. Whereas MultiVersus just picked they didn't pick the best apples, they just picked the most. And it kind of makes sense. It was quality over quantity for Smash Bros. It took a while for a lot of the characters to get revealed. But, when they did get revealed, a lot of people were like, oh, that's cool. But when a lot of the characters for MultiVersus got revealed, it wasn't as cool as they thought. Since, yeah, MultiVersus picked the most apples, but a lot of them were either gross or just regular-ass apples. Uh-oh, I did it again. I'm gonna get banned. Ugh. But yeah. And Smash Bros. Picked the most ripe apples. They didn't pick a lot of them, but they were the most prettiest apples you have ever did see. They were shiny. They're good. And Nickelodeon All-Star Brawls They just picked 4. The 4 weren't even that ripe. Jeez. But yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say about the DLC. In truth, combining all the videos, Nintendo just knew what they were doing. They had a plan, they knew what they were gonna do, they knew what they were gonna say, and knew how they were gonna do it. Whereas all these other brands were just kind of scrambling to fix everything and try to understand the fans, when in reality, they didn't. They didn't understand the fans. They needed someone who knew the fans and knew what they wanted. Which is why Masahiro Sakurai knew what the hell he was doing, whereas this guy didn't. He didn't know what he was doing. He was just scrambling to find the best characters put in. And in that scramble, he lost the best characters he could have put in favor of the ones that he thought everyone wanted to see. But yeah, that is why, in my opinion, just want to make that very clear, in my opinion, Smash Bros. Never died. Thank you all so much for watching this trilogy. Hopefully I'm able to put this in a playlist, and hopefully my video doesn't get shadow banned. Yay! Thank you all so much for sticking with me in this trilogy. Hope you guys liked the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, because I figured out how to do it. And I'll see you guys in the next one.